I remember I found that band back in like middle school, and I used to type in on YouTube top 5 breakdowns, and I ended up I ended up discovering that band on that. It's just damn, dude. Yeah, that's crazy.
Shout out to
But I
the
mean,
all the
shout
YouTubers
out.
making the breakdown compilation videos.
Yeah.
Looks good. I think we're all ready to rock.
Let's get it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is another episode of the Scoped Exposure podcast. We traveled to the city of Big Shoulders to be joined by Andrew of Kharma. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I was trying to look up a fun little intro for Chicago, and so I was searching Chicago nicknames, and City of Big Shoulders came up. So, um,
That's a good one. The
yeah,
Windy City's a big one too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think Big Shoulders was the second one, and it was because of like you guys had like a pretty up and coming meat industry, and that was like reliant when But that's besides the point. We're going to be talking about. We will be talking about Chicago and Chicago hardcore and all those things. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the new Kharma record that's coming up. Before we get super into it, Andrew, can you just give me a proper introduction? What you do in the band and some of those things that we didn't hit on at the beginning here.
Yeah. So my name is Andrew. I play guitar for a band called Kharma. We're out of Chicago. That's pretty much it. Just 23 years old. We've been a band for about 5 years.
Yep, and recently just signed with Flat Spot and putting out a. Are you guys putting out an EP or an LP? We should hit on that before we get going.
It's an EP. So it's a 5-song EP. 4 brand new songs. 1 song we recorded off of like our first release ever, which was like Survival back in 2016.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 7-inch Flat Spot.
It's gonna be a good time. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
and before we get going, a new segment here on the podcast is the Scoped Exposure Bev Check. So I can see in your background there, Andrew, you got a nice kind of fall day. It's been snowing here in Calgary, so it's like
really?
hella chilly. Yeah, it's winter shows its face pretty quickly here up here in Canada. So I'm checking this Costin or Cost. I'm not sure. Costin Press. It's reversed, so bear with me. But it's a rhubarb sparkling water blended with crisp apples. I always drink this in the summertime, and I feel like I'm always trying to balance the scales with a super crazy winter. So that's what I'm drinking. What about
Sounds
yourself?
Good. I'm actually drinking a mineral water as well. I'm a big fan of mineral sparkling waters. This is Topo Chico. This is
okay.
a made in Mexico mineral water. I mean, I've been drinking this my whole life, but lately it's just been cutting back on like, sodas and sugars and stuff. But I mean, I can't talk smack because I always have the monster of salt on deck.
It's a yin and yang.
I got 2 levels.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've seen those. What is it? The Topo.
Topo Chico. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those so many times, and I've been meaning to check it out. And maybe this is just the thing that pushes me over the edge. So
it's a pretty crisp, harsh, carbonated drink. Like that's
Gotcha.
why I like it so much. It just smacks your throat.
Yeah. Well, cheers to you. Excited to chat.
Cheers, man.
Of course. I hope when people hear these, they're like grabbing the bevs out of their fridge or making their coffee or whatever time of day that they're doing these podcasts. But
they crack one open, yeah.
100%. So Andrew, I like to start off things pretty simple on the podcast here, and always like to get context about how my guests got into heavier music. So let's go back in time. Tell me the Andrew hardcore origin story and what put you on the path to being involved in this subgenre.
Right. So I mean, basically, growing up, it was always a clash of music for me. I mean, like my mom listened to one thing, my uncles listened to another. I mean, really, I kind of just grew up with the radio hits, you know. And then like Linkin Park, System of a Down, Slipknot at that time, like those are bands I was like kind of just knowing about. When I got into middle school is when I really started like exploring things by myself, started making friends that listened to the same thing, you know, like Suicide Silence and like um other like just some underground type bands and all that. And yeah, then I met Jordan. I think we met each other in like seventh grade, eighth grade. And then from there we just kind of had, you know, he actually invited me to join his band at the time. And then from there it's just kind of been feeding off of each other. He's been showing me a lot of bands ever since, like, you know, stuff like that. And then we were in that band, then we created Karma a few years later. And yeah, pretty much ever since, dude. I mean, like middle school was like the point
Right.
where I got into like metal and all that stuff. And yeah, dude,
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of those really important moments of having someone close to you that kind of gives you the call it the chapters of the Bible of the heavy music realm to be like, listen to this, don't listen to like Tool or any of this other stuff. um,
How's it going?
yeah, I'm not trying to shit on Tool. That
Yeah.
was just the first thing to my mind.
Yeah, we got
So
to be careful there.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's always like, oh, I'm sure no one from Tool will ever listen to this podcast, but there could be one Tool fan who's like, oh, like just shaking in their boots. So on the Karma side, you guys had mentioned you guys have been around for a while now, and now are kind of having a new chapter of the band now being signed to a
yeah,
label and all of those kind of things. Um, Tell me just like the first couple like years of Karma and like getting because it's always funny hearing how certain people have those those trial runs of different bands growing up where they try something maybe in the more punk rock side and then they don't like that and then they go to something that's more metalcore or beat down. But it sounds like you have always been in the Karma realm, and I've heard that from other
yeah.
musicians where
Um,
their main band has been the band for the majority of their music career.
that's interesting. I mean, you know, I actually don't. Well, number one, I would love to talk about the beginning of Karma, man. It's so sick looking back on it. You know, we started that as like seniors, and I'm sure Jordan's mentioned that too. We were fucking seniors, and it was just a dream of like, because at the time we had this band in like middle school, and it was like it was serious for us being that young. But then eventually, the members of that band went to schools in different areas, so it just didn't work out. Me and Jordan always went to the same school, and so like there was a point where nothing happened for like maybe 2 years, and it was always a dream. Like man, like let's just start something. One day it happened because there was some guys who were like a town over from us. They talked about jamming one day. We jammed, didn't really expect to start a band, but it happened just randomly. And it was like, okay, like this is sick. And you know, like at the time, I owned like an 8 string guitar. So like I guess the trial for Karma was like Jordan would always like write just different styles of music, like tons. And he just had this library of different styles of music. So it was always like instead of us playing all that, it was just kind of like an idea. But then eventually, once we all came together as a band and formed like a hardcore sound, that's what we ended up just naturally coming out with, and that's what it became. And yeah, man, you know, we were young, just right out of high school, went on our first tour, and it wasn't even like a tour. We just went out for like a day or two to like Kansas City. It was so random. Uh, good times, man. A bunch of breakdowns in the vans. You know how that goes. Like yeah, just grinding, man. We've been grinding for a hot minute, honestly.
Yeah.
There's been tours where like, you know, I there was one tour at the time that I didn't go on. We had to fill in. And then like there's been times where our old drummer Nivik, he couldn't come in. So then we had Bryce, who's our drummer now, he would fill in at that time. So like no matter what, we always tried um accommodating, I guess, you know, because we didn't want to stop. We
Right.
wanted to keep making things work out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think Karma's sound is definitely changed a lot since the beginning. Um, but that's just because we've grown a lot as like musicians. You know, we you can kind of hear it within the music for sure, coming from the first record to what's about to be released right now. That's definitely what I'm talking about. Is Most Dangerous Game. It's gonna be like the everyone will clearly hear the change, the
Yeah.
growth
Yeah.
that has happened within the past 5 years.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me to another question I have, because I think that there naturally is, one of two things that happens when a new band comes up in a scene. They're either taking major influence or picking a genre because that is maybe what is most popular in that scene. Like, one city could be like very New York hardcore influence, another city could just be beat down.
Right.
And lots of times bands will just like, yeah, like we go to shows and 90% of the bands are this style, and that's what their new band starts. But then the other side of the coin is bands seeing that and being like, man, there's a lack of thrash bands in this scene. There's a lack of power violence bands. So then those bands get created. So did you find that, which side of the coin did you feel like you guys were with, like some of the other, call it bigger acts in the Chicago space when you guys were first coming up?
Like what made us different?
Well,
You
like,
were
was it like, oh, like we want to start a band like this because there are
oh
other bands, and then over time, like you were saying, the sound, matures and changes
uh-huh.
over time. So,
So like yeah, I mean, at that time, and I'll rightfully admit it, at that time, like we were into like beatdown. So the Karma sound in the beginning was a little bit more of a beatdown sound.
sure.
But as we ended up like just kind of growing and just kind of creating more music, um I guess we found a balance. I don't know. Like we're all fans of heavy music in general. We love thrash, we love hardcore, and just naturally that's just how it came out to where it's at now. I mean, we all listen to different types of music also. So I feel like that's what makes the Karma sound so unique. It's just the fact that there's so many different heads of like this sound, that sound, and it just kind of comes together and becomes the new sound.
Yeah, yeah. I think if it was like gun to my head and I had to pick a genre, like beatdown would probably be one of my first answers. But even just listening to Most Dangerous Game, like the new single that you guys just put out, there's a taste of that, but it's not the main flavor. There's definitely a
Uh-huh.
little bit more um, kind of bouncy, groovy aspects of it, at least
Yeah.
on that track. And I'm really excited to hear the rest of it. But yeah, I agree that there's, with every release comes new influences and new things. I recently did a podcast with Adam from Orthodox, and he was saying how heavy music critiques are always punishing on the sense of, well, this doesn't sound like the last record, and that one was so much better. And it's like, well, obviously, like, go listen to that. This is what we're doing now,
Right.
and either you're with it or you're not. So,
Yeah, I feel like if you look back on a lot of bands too, I love that. I appreciate that a lot with bands where, like Deftones is one of my favorite bands, and that's just an example of each album sounding a little bit different. I think it's important because it just shows growth. It shows that like, it's just if you stand still, do one sound, I guess it works for some people, but like as a musician, it's definitely about about growing with it. So
yeah. Yeah, and,
yeah,
and not in
definitely.
the sense of like, oh, this album is more soft, because you've seen it on the Switch. Like some bands have gone, I don't know if maybe this is a good example, but there was this kind
100th,
of
I think I saw, like,
100th is a great example for sure.
yeah, like they went like shoegazy, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah,
Pretty cool, pretty
yeah.
cool.
But
I like that.
have you ever heard of the band My Ticket Home, or familiar with that name?
Dude, holy shit. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so they
Dude, I
were like
remember,
definitely in like
yeah,
the post-hardcore kind of space, but then when they
yeah.
did that one record that's like, this is like Nirvana, like hardcore
Really?
esque. Yeah, it's insane.
Now,
I
is
think
it
it's
like
very
how new is
underrated
it?
in my opinion.
How new is that? Like the
I think
Nirvana
it's
sounding.
it's it's not new. I think I'm gonna fact check this while we're talking, but I think it's in 2013.
Oh
So
wow, okay,
so
yeah,
that's
wow.
Strangers Only. That was the album, and then they did an album in 2017 called Unreal. I actually didn't check it out, but I'll send you this. Shout out
Oh,
to
that one. I've seen that. I've never listened to it, but I remember I found that band back in like middle school when I used to type in on YouTube top 5 breakdowns, and I ended up I ended up discovering that band on that. It's just damn, dude. Yeah, that's crazy.
shout out to
But I
the
mean,
all the
shout
YouTubers
out.
making the breakdown compilation videos.
Yeah, we need those still, dude. Those are awesome.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite breakdown since we're on that topic? That's
Dude,
a
holy shit. I'm
that's
not gonna
sorry
lie.
that's too big of a question to ask probably.
Not really, because like I brought up Suicide Silence earlier, and I wasn't I listened to the cleansing not too long ago, and I think it's in a photograph, and it goes like it's not even a breakdown, it's just a part in the song when it goes like and like the snares following it, dude.
Yeah.
And it's just so like, dude, honestly, when a breakdown's really good, I just naturally go like,
The mean
yes,
mug
dude. Like,
face. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that's like ultimate yes, bro. I love that.
So let's transition back to
That's
the
yeah,
Karma release. So uh right around the time of you guys signing was when my good friend Steven from 197 Media dropped or your LDB set to help kind of promote it and do some of those things. And during this
yeah,
weird time of quarantine and the pandemic, that was kind of the very last, call it, large scale hardcore festival. So
yeah.
reflecting on that, what has been, I guess, your guys' biggest takeaway from playing that festival when the opportunities are very few and far between right now?
Yeah, you know, me and Jordan started going. I think Jordan may have gone to LDB Fest like a year before me, but we started going to that together, 2016.
Yeah.
Just went as people. Then, sorry, dude, I'm like burping. It's all the
That's
carbonation.
all good. I'm about to do that myself.
um, and then so like thankfully, Ryan and Alex, they really liked Karma. They asked us to play the pre-show the first year. Then we ended up playing the fest like 2 years in a row. And then last year we were asked to do the headline for the pre-show, which was like really badass, really awesome moment for us. The fest was fucking awesome. It was better. It was the best fest, the best one so far for LDB Fest. Like it was the new venue, which was the skate shop, and that was like the second year they did that. And then what was even cooler is that they switched it around,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the layout was a little bit better, more like fluid. It was a lot more like comfortable, in my opinion. Um, and I mean, it was really awesome. I'm really grateful that we got to experience that before COVID hit. Um, there was a bunch of people there from everywhere, dude, and that's what I love about Fest. It's like you have people from the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, Canada. There's
Yeah.
a few friends I know from Canada that have gone to it, and it's just like it's really sick. I really hope we can get back to that. Yeah, I mean, it was LDB Fest, one of my favorite fests, dude. If you've never gone, hopefully when all this is said and done, we'll be back on that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I think as soon as Steven started filming it, you could really see the night and day difference of like, the first year that he filmed it, it was like, oh yeah, like this fest looks really fun. A lot of the sets were really just popping off. Like I'm thinking about the inclination set when Tyler's
yeah,
on the crutches. Like that is like that's a historic moment in hardcore, in my
yeah,
opinion. But yeah, the second year when they switched it and just seeing it was almost like double the amount of people from the first year just through those videos. So yeah, they're
yeah,
they're really on the come up.
yeah. At the actual fest itself, there was way more people, dude. It was packed. It was so
Yeah,
packed.
yeah,
So sick. It's kind of funny because like at the time, COVID was flying around, so like it sucks. But like I think some people may have gotten sick, but I
oh
mean,
dude, I like
yeah,
my singer and a ton of my good friends from up here in Calgary were down for that and just came back and everyone. This is before
they got
COVID
the
was on the
bug.
map. They were saying, "Oh,
Uh-huh.
I got the LDB Fest plague," and
The
people are
plague.
like, "Was
Yeah.
that COVID? I don't know."
Let's hope not, man. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly. Let's hope not.
Yeah, I think mid-March is the origin of when it like hit, or like the beginning of March, and then things started to spread. But the more that we talk about COVID, the more depressed people will be on this podcast. So we'll jump
Definitely,
off that
definitely.
topic.
Hell yeah.
Just on the topic of festivals, I know like in Chicago you guys have the Rumble, and unfortunately that
Hmm.
didn't happen this year. But
Yeah.
I can't remember if you guys were scheduled to play that or have played that in the past.
Yeah, we played it. We played it 2018, I think 2017. But it's a funny story because like I ended up it was like my 21st birthday that weekend and I slept through the set and I was just fucking drunk.
Yeah.
I was drunk as hell that weekend and I missed it. Luckily we've always been a five piece, so the guitar player at the time, he ended up taking over and but yeah, dude. It was
Wait,
supposed to
wait, wait.
happen this
Hold on,
year.
hold on. So it was your birthday and you guys were scheduled to play, but then you slept through the set? Is that
No, so it was like my birthday was on a Friday and
okay?
we played the fest like on a Sunday. It was
Oh, okay.
something like that. It was like the 27th. My birthday's on the 26th. So it was like the day before. And like it was my birthday weekend. And like I just got like super drunk the night before. And then I woke up at like 3 p.m. to my phone blown up and everyone was pissed. I showed up that day and I was like, because like I'm not gonna like hide, like I admitted it. And dude, I got so much shit, and I still get shit to this day, which I fucking deserve, like
Right.
100%. But like, and honestly, I think because of that, like, yeah, definitely leaves a little bad taste in people's mouths. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Just jumping off the LDB conversation, Wolfgang, my vocalist who was down at that fest, we right when he got back, we played a show up in Edmonton, which is like a 3-hour drive north, and then played a matinee show in Calgary, where we're from the next day. And he was just like
Badass.
just destroyed. So he played that set, dropped him off at the house, and then it was like we had to play in like an hour and he hasn't shown
Yeah.
up, and we're like texting him, and I drove to his
Oh
house.
god.
And yeah, so it's like I think that
Did
was
he
our
wake up?
he did wake up, but it was like literally like
Okay.
we rolled up and like everyone is set up and I just put the mic in his hand like we got to play right now.
Damn. Yeah, it's funny because I think Jordan was actually he was at my house throwing rocks in my windows, and I was still fucking knocked out. But yeah.
No,
Dude,
that's
it sucks. I wish the Rumble happened though, man. Like there was so many bands, The Killer, fucking like, dude, just so many bands I wanted to see, dude. And
yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunate. We
Yeah,
always got next year.
yeah, the hope is, everyone can hopefully be on their best behavior, that all the fests can get their 2021 kind of run in. I'm kind of curious with some of the earlier fests that happened in the year, like FYA and LDB, obviously, but we'll just have
Mhm.
to wait and see, Um,
Yeah.
I, there has been a thought as well, like I kind of would like to do like a podcast series of episodes that kind of interview the actual people that put on that fest,
Mhm.
because everyone's thanking them at like when they're posting their photos on Instagram or while they're actually playing the set, but a lot of people don't know the behind the scenes of like everyone knows like Ryan and Alex from LDB, but no one actually knows what they look like or what they're
Right.
how they do stuff. So that might be
Okay.
something
Yeah,
that's coming down the pipe. Yeah.
that's a good one, dude. Definitely. I think they're some of the people that deserve the most recognition. Without them, you don't have a show, you
Yeah.
know?
It's
Um,
crazy amount of
Good idea.
logistics to get those things in
Yeah.
line.
Straight up.
So kind of we're jumping around topics, but so that LDB set that was released to help kind of promote the stuff. You
Yeah.
guys were playing some new songs. So were the songs that are
Yeah.
coming on Most Dangerous Game recorded a long time ago or written a long time ago and only now are showing their face, or what's the
Yeah.
timeline with some of those?
The timeline. Yeah, our timelines. See, so our timeline's a little off because we've gone through like we went through like a lineup change with our drummer, with guitar, and but between all that, these songs were written. Um I think the first song that made a debut out of all of them is Most Dangerous Game. That song first started off as an intro. So the dun 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 was like our intro for a long time. Eventually got turned into a song, and then I think after that, the next the next introduction was a song that is played at the LDB set. Oh, something happened. Okay,
No,
cool.
you're good. Yeah.
And you know that song, we first played it at the first song ever that we played in completion was Guilty by Association. That was LDB Fest last year, and it's cool because that song, with these songs, we nitpick at them like these four specific ones. We've had them for so long, and we sat on them for so long that like we went in January to record them, but up until that point, there was always like tweaks and like things to fix, things to make better. And then when we went in with Andy from Weekend Nachos at Bricktop, when we were recording with him, he was fucking awesome, man. He was giving us just giving us like, what about this? What if you guys try this? The smallest little tweaks, and just made the songs like even better, dude. Like I remember there's one part, and I don't know, it's definitely not on a song out right now. No one's heard it, but there's just a part in the song that it's just a straight dumb breakdown type of like drum, and it's like Andy was like, let's just make it simple, and it was like, yeah, dude, that was it. That was it. It fucking made it perfect. So we recorded those in January, and yeah, dude, ever since then, we were just shopping labels, and then Flat Spot picked it up, and yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just been, it's always weird sometimes when you have something that you're super proud of and you have to, market
Yeah.
it and like sit on it like kind of like an egg for a bit and just let it kind of, muster. But yeah, it's super exciting to see just like a band that has been going for a long time like you guys, because I remember hearing the first couple EPs like years and years and years ago, and now it's like
Uh-huh.
it's always that thing where like I remember when Knocked Loose was signed and like so many people were like, oh, this new band sounds really good. It's like they've been grinding for years, you just haven't
Yeah.
maybe have seen it online as much.
Yeah. It's going back, you said like it's hard. Yeah, dude, it's hard to sit on it because we were always so used to, oh, we just finished recording, oh, we just got the masters back, let's get an artwork done and let's release it next week. And like we're not used to the surprise element, but I love it. Like it's definitely something that we're learning along the way, that it's like just something that helps anticipation, just kind of helps like reel people in a little more. And yeah, I'm really happy the way things are going. And yeah.
Hell yeah. Getting back to it, had to do a little technical difficulties. So so talking about, you recorded the new songs in January, you said.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're in the Riff Gear department. So can you talk to me about what kind of amps you guys used? And oh, sorry.
Yeah, dude. So Andy at Bricktop has a bunch of heads that you can pick from, and I think originally I played on I think it's like Dean Costello. I think that's his name, Dean Costello Audio. He makes these heads, and played out of that. We didn't really find the tone we wanted off that. I think we played it off a regular 5150. Wasn't really feeling that. He hooked up the Soldano. The Soldano, I can't remember the exact model of it, but like this amp was giving us like the perfect tone, dude. And with my guitars plus Xander's guitars, it was two different tones automatically. So we went with it, and we were super stoked on it. And then when Edgar went in, I think he may have used his own Ampeg bass head. I can't really remember what he used, but yeah, the Soldano. I think I hooked it up into an Emperor cab
Oh,
4x12, and then I don't remember the speakers that were in it, but yeah, I mean, I just run my rig though is an Egnator Vengeance, which it's funny, dude, because I just got it fixed pre-COVID. The tubes were fucked up in it, and I sent it to a shop not too far from where I live. Got it fixed, paid probably like $300 to get it fixed and everything, and then boom, COVID hit, couldn't use it.
yeah.
It sucks, but like up until then, I was basically borrowing heads and shit. It sucks because in the LDB video, wasn't even using my own head, so it's like my tone wasn't there. But yeah, I run an Egnator Vengeance, and I just have like a regular PV 4x12 and just tube screamer, tuner, and noise suppressor. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I use.
Simple to the point.
Simple.
But
Yeah.
I feel like that's a norm for lots of festivals though, is like you're only bringing the bare necessities and some of the tones that you have to sacrifice, and in the sense of you're not bringing the full van or something. You might just be riding up in a car or flying in or what have you. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. When there's guys and there's just they're cool with sharing gear.
right.
I'm very open with that too, and it's just like I really appreciate it when someone else helps me out. It was Jimmy Ledoux from Low End Judiciary.
Oh yeah.
He
The
let me
boy.
borrow his amp head. Yeah. And he, like, I'm thankful that he was like, able to help me out. There's plenty of people I can mention that are like that, dude. Just always down to help out. We're always down to help out. We'll bring the cab. We'll bring the bass cab. We'll roll it around.
Yeah. Yeah. The worst is the day or the second that you're about to play and someone's like, yo, can I use that after you're done? I literally played a show once where the minute I was done playing, I didn't get the okay, good set. I just had this dude come up and say, hey, my band's playing a surprise set like in 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, can I use your guitar? No, it wasn't even my guitar. It was because I was playing in a band where I didn't have one in that tuning, so I was borrowing the other guitar player. So I'm like, well, you have to ask Vince. Oh, okay.
Right.
Could I use your amp? I'm like, do you want to use like my freaking guitar
Everything?
pick? Like,
Yeah.
what's happening? So
Back when Kharma started, there was a band that just none of those. I don't think any of those guys are around anymore. I don't even know if that band is even a thing anymore. But I remember one time, and I think it was their first show.
Okay.
And their guitar player was like, yo, can I use your amp and your cab? And I'm just like, dude, like, it's your first show. Like, what's going on? Where's your gear, bro? Where's your gear? But yeah, no, that's happened plenty of times. I remember one time we played in Vegas, and it was some deathcore show that Kharma got on. It was like a garage show, super badass. And one of the guys in the band that played after us, he went up to Edgar, our bassist, and was like, yo, can I borrow your bass? And he's like, what tuning do you guys play in? And he's like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter the tuning. And he played their songs in our tuning. And it's like,
what?
Yeah, dude. Like, it was just one of those things where, like, he was just playing like the open note and like probably like the first fret the whole time. Like, I don't know, but
he was just like,
so
if
funny.
it rumbles, it's fine. Doesn't need to match what the guitar.
Yeah, like nobody will know. Dude, yeah, funny times.
That's hilarious. Just like it doesn't matter. It's it's too low. No one can actually pick it out. Are you like a gear nerd and have all these crazy guitar pedals that you're trying to throw on the records? Or you were mentioning you keep it nice and simple.
Well, I don't, but Xander, our other guitar player. He has like a delay pedal. He has like a delay pedal and a chorus pedal, and they're like these like Boss digital boxes that have like the presets of like a bunch of tones in them.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's really big on that, and I believe that like within the next releases, you're gonna hear a lot more of Xander's like flavor in it, because like, yeah, like, I mean, the listeners have been hearing my flavor for the past few years, like just like what I add into Kharma. Most of it's Jordan's big brain idea, but then like my flavor's in there too. But I'm really excited for what's to come after Most Dangerous Game, because you're gonna hear Xander like with like who knows, dude. He's always playing with the delay and playing with the reverb, making shit sound crazy. So like, we'll see what ends up happening. Well, but I'm definitely not the
like you were saying before, like the fact of the sound for Kharma sonically is evolving. So it's like, there's really no rules on the table as far as like, we can't do a part like that, or it can't be that tempo. So no, I'm excited to hear that. Going back to the Chicago scene, is there any Chicago bands that you want to shout out that, because I think a lot of people do a bad job at like thinking about one area or a state, and they only associate that with one band. So they're like Texas, Power Trip, but then it's like there's so many great bands from the Texas area. I'm sure there's probably a number of people who are watching or listening who are like, isn't Harm's Way from Chicago? But they can't name a number of other bands. So do you want to give any shout outs or plugs to any homies?
Yeah, some of our homies, MH Chaos, Bugging Out or Bugging, say they switched their name recently. Um, there's our friends in Bovice too, dude. There's a little bit of everything for someone for the listener in Chicago, dude. There's like no one sounds the same. Everyone's a a completely different sound. Um, Chicago. I think there's more bands coming out. There's a lot more bands coming out from just in general. I was gonna shout out at the end of the show, um, Wisconsin, Chicago, Northwest Indiana. We call it the Connection. There's a band I remember that just came out from Wisconsin called Innervate. I think that's how it's pronounced. My other friend Emilio came out with his band. I can't remember their name either. I'm really bad with
Reality Check from Milwaukee.
yeah,
Dude, that demo is so sick.
yeah.
I think it was Mitch from Low End shared that. I checked it out, and I've given that, I would say, for sure, double digits worth of spins front to back. It's very sick.
Yeah, dude, there's a bunch of shit that's coming out from like this area. So like, just in general, dude, like shout out all the homies.
Yeah.
Shout out everyone from the Connection, dude.
Yeah. So another thing on the EP that you guys are putting out, Jordan was I guess the first member of Kharma that I interviewed on this podcast, and when Flat Spot hit me up about doing another podcast with one of you guys to help promote it,
Right.
the podcast is pretty early, so I didn't want to have like a repeat guest kind of before 100, so that's why we're doing it. So I don't know how much you can speak on the lyrical side of things, but what are some of the things that I guess you guys are writing about from like what are the songs revolving, either topics wise, or is there anything you can kind of speak on that front?
Yeah. So I mean, one of them in general is just Guilty by Association. That's about plenty of people, and especially since that song, Jordan's had that written for definitely like a while now, and it was pertaining towards it was a specific person. Now where we're at now, we've gone through like quite a few things within the past like year and a half. That song is specifically just talking about if you know that someone's done something wrong and you're still associating with that, you're guilty too. That's one thing about that. I really like that song a lot. Forced Out of Heaven is just kind of like Forced Out of Heaven, Most Dangerous Game. Those are more Jordan exploring, I guess, on like storytelling, which Jordan is always a big like he's real with his lyrics, like he that comes from the heart, everything. If he hates you, he hates you, and he has a good reason for it. Like that's basically what Jordan's always been about. So I think it's good that he's kind of exploring the storytelling a little bit. Force Out of Heaven, and Most Dangerous Game. Jester kind of relates with the realness, basically talking about like I guess we named it Jester just because you don't name a song Clown, but like you can basically figure out what that's about. And Slave to Society, I mean, that's just an old song we've always had, and that's just kind of like another real song, kind of like and I don't want to say like just like a reality song, really. Slave to Society. So I mean, there's a little bit of everything on this album. There's like storytelling, and then there's the realness that Jordan's always kept from the beginning.
Yeah, and yeah, it's funny. Like, I guess you're right. You wouldn't just name a song Clown. Like, I can't name a band that has it, but there's a plethora of lyrics.
I know Korn
like,
does, but like,
yeah,
that's like the only but that's the only one.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to hear some of those things, and Jordan always, from the stuff that I've read and heard from him, he writes very like unapologetically, like just kind of like, these are my feelings and I'm just putting them on the table, and either you're gonna fuck with it or you don't, and that's what's always admiring for me, is just seeing bands that are like, either you're with it and you're not, but we're not gonna abide by any standards or rules. So
Yeah, dude, we definitely are not. We're not like. I think Jordan makes it pretty clear that we're not followers. You know, like we're Karma is just one big like don't give a fuck about you band. Like if like it's just like get out of our way. You know, like
right,
yeah, he
yeah,
makes it pretty clear.
um,
I love his lyrics.
yeah, yeah. Very excited for that. Are you guys did one music video? Are you guys doing any other videos or any other types of media around the music?
So as far as video goes, that hasn't been talked about, but I would like to see that be done in the future. I think that's a pretty it'd be pretty interesting to do. Um, as far as other media goes, I don't think I can speak on that just because like things are up in the air, things aren't really like set in stone.
Right.
But you know, I really hope that later on in the future, I want to do something with a live stream just because like that's something that is obviously happening with bands. That's really the only thing. We do have a live stream. We played this wrestling event about a month ago, and there was a guy who ended up recording our set, and all the sets from the wrestlers ended up getting put on an indie site, an indie
Oh, okay.
wrestling site. So I'm pretty sure our set's up there. I didn't look into it yet, just because I was pretty busy the past like few weeks. But yeah, like I definitely would like to be like. I think that'd be pretty cool to get that done next. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, doing something a little bit more either pre-recorded and get it all mixed and mastered and all that, or doing it full live with
Yeah, either or
yeah,
would be
either
awesome.
or. Yeah. I think both work. I think I saw Sunny, I've mentioned on this podcast before, but Sunny had did a poll asking his audience like, do you care if it's actual live or if it's like we
Mm,
recorded this and we're just all watching it together at the same time? And it was like a 50-50 split. So any of the
okay.
sessions that we've done have been like recorded in the summer, spent a ton of time editing it and making sure it was crisp, and then put it out. But Sunny,
Yeah.
for what I've seen, has done it both ways, where he's done little sessions with bands in the middle of like nowhere, but also doing it at like a venue or a studio space. So I would love to see that
Yeah.
from you guys specifically too.
Yeah, me too, man. I feel like it's so hard for it to be just one set way because like I feel like it's kind of hard to get people all together at once, even just on a live stream. But like
Right.
it's good to have the both things, definitely. You know, I think like keeping a balance between actual live sets. I can't remember the actual live set. I think it was a Code Orange. It was when they did like the Under the Skin one. I think that was the only live one I watched.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, like pre-recorded stuff, especially like mixing, mastering it, making the audio nice and perfect. That's definitely awesome too.
Yeah. Well, like
Yeah.
ultimately it's evergreen. Like you can share that 5 years from now. You can share it, kind of,
Hmm.
it's not just something that's like dated.
Yeah.
So this is a hard transition topics wise. So I noticed that on your Instagram that I guess your day job is doing a lot of like renovation slash contract
Yeah.
work. And,
Yeah.
there's a number of people in the hardcore space that have that like construction style kind of job, the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Um,
Yeah.
so has that been something that you've always done, or that's something you picked up recently? Because it seems like I've done freelance work for construction companies and cabinetry companies and renovation companies.
Oh, really?
So I
Nice.
appreciate seeing the behind the scenes and the before and after pictures that you were sharing as well.
Yeah. I've been doing that for about 2 years now, and it really started off because my family members they grew up with the trades.
Right.
Like my grandfather's the one who kind of really took me under the wing first. Started doing drywall with him. Started learning how to tape and plaster and paint, and then what ended up happening after that is my uncle owns an actual house that he's renovating himself.
Okay.
So I'm getting, yeah, like because of that, I got like my hands, like I got my first hands-on experience with it. And then after that, I started actually creating. I worked for a carpenter company called like can't remember what they're called, but they made homes. So I was out there making homes. But then eventually, right, well, where I'm at right now, I'm doing more of like home renovation, like painting, basically just remodeling. And it's fun, man. You know, I definitely am a hands-on type of worker. Like it's just it consumes I enjoy it so much that like I prefer to kill my time with that, and that's how I like enjoy killing time. Um, but yeah, dude, I mean, I want to get involved with woodworking. I'm gonna start looking into like making maybe like a little chair, a little table, just to see if someone's gonna like it. Because if I can make like a business out of it, why not? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
like, just on the topic of woodworking, that's definitely been um, not only a hobby, but a medium that has become a lot more popular in the last few years. Just like people making, coffee tables or combining things with resin and things like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, I have a plethora of stories because I used to work for a woodworking company that
dude.
was really really big on that. So
We'll talk about that. I think we should have our own little like time talking about that because I love talking about that type of
straight
stuff.
up.
Straight up.
So when you're at the site and you're working on stuff, are because I know a lot of people like to have their hardcore and personal lives
Oh yeah,
separate, but are you always listening to hardcore on the job site or?
definitely, dude. If anything, it's kind of weird to listen to like Juice World at the job site. You know, like
Yeah.
honestly, well, cause I'll blast like 50 Cent and shit, but like I also like stuff like that. So when I'm on the job site, dude, it's strictly metal, it's strictly grunge, like it's just straight up rocks. And usually I'm playing Apple. I don't know if you use Apple or Spotify, but I use Apple Music.
Gotcha.
And Apple Music has they just have like these random playlists, hits from 99, hits from 98, hits like rock hits from 99. So I'll just pop that on
Right.
and then yeah,
Gone are
jam
the
it out.
days of someone with the iPod Classic and just have a plethora of downloaded music. It's all
Dude,
playlist lands right now.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, like I'm actually really bad with creating playlists, but I've been trying to get a little better with it. And honestly, dude, it's the best thing.
Mhm.
Like just kind of popping in our playlist and that's it. You just kind of forget about it.
Yeah, I think because we have a playlist that I update every single Monday, and I
Mhm.
I don't know if this is the right move, but it's what I've been doing. I find that any song that has like a call it a guitar feedback intro, or it just takes maybe 5 to 10 seconds before it actually like starts the song. I try to
Uh-huh.
avoid those songs on the playlist personally. I try to like whatever starts immediately or
Yeah.
is in that like 2 to under 3 minute range. I find if I'm not skipping those songs, there's probably everyone else who's listening who's not skipping them as well because
Yeah,
the
no, that's a good idea too.
yeah. The worst is you just get in the ADD of just like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm bored. Skip, and
Skip.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like, what's the point? What's the point of a playlist? But like, you're just gonna go pick and choose. It's funny because on my playlist I recently put together, I added one by Metallica, and every time that song comes on, it's one of those intros that's like super quiet and it builds up. So every time that song comes on, I'm like, did my phone stop playing music? And I have to check, dude.
dude,
It's so
all
funny.
the time happens
Yeah.
far too often. Um, I've sometimes like, skipped songs on shuffle and to see if like that part would have transitioned into the next song, but sometimes like
Yeah.
it's just a hard cut into nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Straight up.
Yeah.
Because like, dude, every time I'm in the car, I usually just throw on shuffle just to do that. So I'm like that too.
Yeah.
Just to like, I listen for those little things as well.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, we should probably start wrapping up here. The final question that I asked all of my guests is a favorite mosh story that you would like to share. So that doesn't,
Definitely, dude.
yeah, whatever's
Hell
first to
yeah,
your
dude.
mind doesn't need to be anything, that
I have
pushes
plenty.
karma or yeah. What
So
do you got for us?
I guess like the biggest one, just because like we're from Chicago and it's a Chicago band. It was Harm's Way, um, the post-human record release at Sub T. It was a great time, and man, dude, they were playing their old stuff, and I think it was during isolation. And at that breakdown, I was fucking going hard, dude, and I was just swinging, and I swing, and I guess I hit this old guy, like this older guy. He was probably like, let's just say he was in his like early 40s maybe, right? Knocked him out. Or not even knocked him out, but I just whacked him. And then like, dude, it was crazy because there was someone. So at Sub T, there's a top floor and the ground level. So there's a balcony up top. Someone got it on video of the moment of me getting my ass whooped by this guy. And like, he was just dogging me, dude. And all you see is my friends just split us apart. And it was just one of the funniest moments because after the show, he comes up to me and he goes like, he's like, hey, thanks, man. Like, I've never gotten hit like that, like in a while. And I was like, you got it, bro. Like, I guess, whatever. It was a good time. It was a good time.
In the moment, he's like, what the fuck? And then right after, he's like, yo, that was sick.
It's always like that, but it's moshing, you know? Like, he got mad because I hit him, but I mean, you know, it cools off after a while. Yeah.
It's just the name of the game, as they say.
The name of the game. There you go. That's a good one.
Well, Andrew, this has been a crucial conversation. I have really enjoyed talking with you, talking about the new Kharma coming up. Anything that you want to plug, any social handles, where to send people after this podcast, after they listen to it?
Yeah, so you can find Kharma on Twitter, Kharma MWHC on Twitter and Instagram. I want to shout out the homies, the connection, Chicago, Northwest Indiana, Wisconsin. There's shit coming out still by the end of the year from these guys, and everyone deserves the attention coming from the Midwest. And I also want to plug in Most Dangerous Game coming out on Flat Spot Records, November 20th. You can pre-order it at flatspotrecords.com and get the 7-inch, get a hoodie, get a shirt, get whatever.
Yeah, definitely a band that you should support during this time. I will ride and die for any band that's giving us new music during this whack ass time. So, Andrew, thank you again for joining me on the podcast and jamming with me.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.